Welcome back to the channel, folks. Wildlife Ranger here on YouTube, where today I hope you can join me on a trek to find the next plant in the 50 Flowers in Spring series. Today we'll be looking at a little plant known as Red Campion or Silene dioica, a plant of woodland hedgerow. Red Campion is a dioecious plant, meaning the stands will either be exclusively male or exclusively female. The flower colour of this plant is bright purple pink, the flowers being approximately 2.5 centimetres in diameter and resembling buttons. The petals, all 5, are deeply notched, sometimes giving the impression that it has more petals than what it actually has. Red Campion also has a long flower tube. Welcome to my channel, folks, on YouTube, Wildlife Ranger for all things natural history. Today we are looking at a little plant known as Red Campion, and we're looking at the habitat in which we find it. So we are currently on a wayside path running along a long linear woodland where there is some shade above our head, shading this blooming stand of Red Campion. The ground is damp with grass and we're in the shade directly away from the sun. As you can see from the plant, it's a tall plant, 2.5 foot to 3 foot. The stems are velvety and hairy and round. The leaves are in couplets and twos, and the flower is in a head where the 5-petal flowers are notched and pink and purple to colour. As we can see, some of the flower heads actually branch. I don't know if you can see that, but the flower heads are actually branching there. So we're looking at a plant in the Spring Botany series known as Silene dioica or Red Campion. So folks, let us briefly summarise the habitat. Red Campion grows in roadsides, woodlands and rocky slopes. It prefers to grow near shade and on damp, non-acid soils such as lime areas, which are in fact base rich. The following clip shows where we found the plant in situ, and the adjacent path probably contains some form of lime aggregate. Red Campion is known by a number of common or vernacular names, none the least adder's plant, where it was thought that the flower may have been used to ward off snakes. Likewise, the 17th century medicinal herbalist Gerard suggested that the paste of the seeds was used to treat adder bites, of which there is no known medical basis. In the Victorian language of flowers, Red Campion was worn to depict subliminally the quality of gentleness. The Latin name is derived also from the Greek word sialon, which means saliva and reflects the gummy substance secreted on the stem. The term dioica, which means of two houses, also reflects that the plant has both male and female forms of the flower. As always, before we embark on our journey into the field, we look at the features and characteristics of the plant which will enable us to identify and find it, beginning with the flower structure. And we will return to the flower structure in a tale about robbery. Red Campion is a member of the Caryophyllaceae family, or the pinks. It is a herbaceous perennial growing up to 24 to 36 inches tall. There can be many flower heads at the stem tip where the plant divides. Red Campion has 5 notched petals, sometimes so deeply indented it gives the impression that there are 10 petals rather than the 5 which it has. The flowers are approximately 2 to 2.5 centimetres across and are unscented. Careful examination using a magnifying loupe of the male and female plants revealed subtle differences as per the slide that follows. The male plant has 10 stamens and a 10-veined calyx, and the female will have 5 styles and a 20-veined calyx. Red Campion has a long flowering period where it flowers between May and October. As always, we include the following slide, which may be stopped at any point, containing botanical details for those who may wish to study the plant in further detail. Turning our attention to the leaves and stems. The leaves are hairy and grow in opposite pairs on a downy stem. The downy stems are round and hollow, and the leaves themselves are not toothed, that is to say the leaf margin is smooth and entire. The leaf shape may be described as lanceolate or spear-shaped. The leaves, like the stem, bear numerous hairs. It's not the intention of this video to deal with the confusion species in detail, but the following slide provides some potential confusion species as well as the differential characteristics that might distinguish them. The following interesting tale gives us an indication of how plants and pollinators interact and evolve. Today we have returned to this stand of Red Campion Silene dioica, and we are going to report a robbery. Yes, you heard me right, a robbery. And we're going to explain this in the form of a simple tale, a concept which is known to many botanists and people who study bees. We have three players in the tale. We have Red Campion Silene dioica, and we have Brother Bee with the long tongue. We also have a third player, known as Big Bad Bee, with a short tongue. The normal tale, in terms of evolution, is this. The Brother Bee with the long tongue approaches Brother Campion, who meets and greets the bee and says, "Welcome to my cafe. Would you like to avail of a free breakfast of golden nectar?" Well, of course, Brother Long Tongue Bee says, "Yes, please." And he enters the long flower tube of Red Campion, where he huffles and shuffles and cross-pollinates Brother Campion. Now, at the end of the exercise, there is a mutual exchange. Brother Campion thanks Brother Long Tongue Bee for cross-pollinating her flowers and producing the next generation of big, strong little campions. Likewise, Brother Bee, with the long tongue, thanks Brother Campion for the free tasty breakfast. Now that's all very well, and it works great on evolutionary terms until Big Bad Bee comes along. And bees are like buses, there are never any around when you need them. So today we have brought with us Big Bad Bee. Here he is in all his entirety. And what Brother Bad Bee does, he's figured a way around this evolutionary relationship, and he will approach Brother Campion and he will go to the side of the flower tube where he will chew a hole in it and then insert the relatively short tongue and extract the nectar. This phenomena is known as nectar robbery. How do we know that that happens? Well, first of all, we can actually observe the bee chewing the long flower tube, or if we look very carefully at the long flower tubes of Red Campion, we can see a C-shaped incision or scar which is healed that indicates the flower tube has been chewed by one of the bees. So that's a very interesting tale on what is termed nectar robbery, and it does impact on the long-term survivability and reproduction of Britain's more rarer plants, not so much the Red Campion, but other long flower-tubed plants which are much rarer. This also might be a good opportunity to give an introduction to the bees from the perspective of pollination. Bees can be roughly divided into two types, long-tongue bees and short-tongue bees. And the family of bees with short tongues include the Andrenidae, which is the mining bee, the Colitidae, which are the plaster bees, and the Halicdae, which are the furrowing bees. Equally so, the long-tongue bees include families such as the Epidae, which is the typical honeybee, the Bombidae, which is the bumblebee, like Bombus terrestris, and finally the Megachilidae, which are the leafcutter bees. So the outcome of this brief introduction is that bees are either long-tongued or short-tongued, and they are divided into families which reflect the names of what they effectively do. Well, that's it from me, folks. Thank you very much again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video on the Red Campion and the slight diversion into the world of bees. I hope on the next occasion that you bump into this perennial friend, you will have a better understanding and knowledge of the plant. I hope also you will be able to join me on the next track where we will find another wild plant in the 50 Flowers in Spring series. In the meantime, I leave you with a musical collage of various species of bees taken throughout the year. If you have enjoyed this video or found it educational, please like, share and subscribe and help this channel become successful.